for all verified facts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome. The tiebreaker in the United States is still on, and you obviously know what I mean. The electoral results are still to be out, but the stock markets seem to have taken a cue. And the cue seems to be that all is going to be well, whether it is Joe Biden or Donald Trump at this point. And this, of course, can change in as much as you don't know who will become president or could become president a little later. But at this point, it is unclear. And even as it is unclear, the stock markets, particularly in India, have risen more than 1,000 points in 2 days, even as counting in the United States keeps continuing. So the question is, why is this happening? Are Indian markets adopting or following cues other than what's happening in global markets and therefore the United States? Or are we influenced by the United States to the extent that because those markets don't seem to be affected too much by the electoral outcomes and therefore we are not too? Or could it be some other reason? But the fact is that the markets are booming and booming like never before. And when you go back to March, then this gain is really, really significant. So let's find out why from two veterans and investment experts. I'm joined by Ajay Bagga and G. Chokalingam. Thank you both for joining me. So Ajay, so why don't you go first? Why is this happening?
No, it's a combination of 3 or 4 factors, Govind. One is that right from March onwards, we had a very strong monetary stimulus and a global fiscal stimulus also. So nearly $20 trillion have been injected into the global economy. So we have seen a V-shaped recovery in the global economy. So last week, we saw the PMIs, which is Purchase Manager Index. It gives an idea of both manufacturing and services. The manufacturing PMIs in China, in Europe, in US, and in India were at multi-decade highs. India had a 17-year high of PMI at 58 levels. Anything above 50 is meaning strong expansion. And we had a level at 58. So the economy is recovering from COVID. It has not reached the pre-COVID levels, but the direction is strong. So markets being forward-looking are welcoming that. Second, the hit on the bank's balance sheets is not apparently that bad so far. What we were fearing that September would see a huge NPA surge. One is the courts have frozen NPAs as of August 13th, but even the commentary from banks is for NPAs not being so bad. That is second. So global flows, NPAs not being so bad. Third being that globally, last week, the markets fell 5%, and we had some weakness in India as well. What has worked in the week of the US elections is that the Democrats don't seem to be getting a blue wave majority. That is control of the House of Representatives, control of Senate, and the presidency. What is looking like is a split mandate where the Republicans might have the majority in Senate, or it could be a 50-50 kind of a case, and Joe Biden as the president. What that implies for markets, Govind, 3 big things. One, the tax hikes will be difficult to do. That's a straight 10% to 12% increase in the earning potential next year, because they were planning to hike the corporate rates to 28% from 21%. Second, the regulatory environment remains benign. And so big IT started, rallying, because you will not see breaking up of big IT. At least they are safe for the next 2 years till the next Senate, bunch of next Senate elections come. And third, very importantly, Joe Biden presidency will see international trade and international treaties being honored. So it will be overall better for the global economy. And the pandemic response will be stronger. So the recovery will be faster under a Biden presidency. Those are few of the factors, Govind.
Right. And I'm going to come back to the Biden versus Trump equation in a moment and what it means. Choka, how are you seeing it? And how have you seen the rise in the last 7 months or so?
Yeah. If you talk about last 7 months, then, you need to mention the fact that March 23rd, the whole global equity markets have got scared due to the pandemic or the lockdown impact. So they have overdone it, and Indian market lost 52 trillion rupees, 52 lakh crore of market cap by March 23rd. So the subsequent 6 months recovery, partly due to the correction of this, excessive fear in the market, partly, and that was the first phase. The second phase, that is for last 1 month or 2 months, and particularly for last 1 week, uh, the fear on US election is receding now, particularly in the last few days. The global markets have risen. So the Indian market now, interestingly, there is a structural change. The correlation of Indian equity indices with US indices, now it's almost to 0.9596 in the last 6 months or 1 year. This kind of correlation never seen in the past. So taking global cues, and then the FII flows is also quite robust in the latest period. And third specific reason is the September results, corporate results. Very interestingly, the revenue improvement on quarter basis is really above expectation. The June quarter had a severe impact on account of the lockdown. So obviously there was expectation of improvement in the September quarter, but really the top line growth was much above the expectation. Then on the bottom line also, it was above expectation because the cut in the employee cost and fuel cost, and also, in the June quarter, a lot of materials prices have crashed. So many
Right.
companies have procured those material at a cheaper price in September quarter. So there was a margin expansion. So lastly, even the economic indicators like GST collection, fuel consumption, the infection going down, so core sector contraction is being limited now. So all these have contributed to solid recovery in the last few weeks, in addition to what recovery we saw in the previous 6 months.
Right. So, Choka, you said that the correlation between India and US is about 0.95%, 0.96%. Are you saying even in 2000, when the dot-com boom or bubble, subsequent bubble happened, we didn't see this correlation?
Yeah, very interesting question. In fact, I looked at all this. Whenever there is a crisis in the US market, our correlation increases. Maybe, the fear factor is more powerful than the optimistic factor. It's a reverse of what happened in China. Couple of years back, Chinese market crashed very badly, but our correlation weakened with the Chinese market. So though a lot of people are scared, we did not fall badly. So you are absolutely right. The Lehman crisis, dot-com bust, and this March 23rd. On downside, it looks like our people are more scared, and after seeing what is happening in the US, so the correlation becomes much stronger. On recovery, that correlation weakens. Now, for example, year to date, if you see, the US market has gone up much more than what Indian market has recovered. So on upside, our correlation is slightly weak. And whenever this kind of crisis is there, as we mentioned, there are three crises we have seen since 2000 January, February dot-com bust. The correlation jumps to as much as 0.95 or 96.
Right. So, Ajay, let me come back to you. So, on the Biden-Trump factor. So, the two things you said, you talked about trade, you talked about the pandemic response, which would be different or better or surely improved, in at least when it comes to pandemic with Biden. But assuming Trump came back, then is there some kind of reset to default here, which is continuation, which is not so bad, or is that bad?
It's very good. If Trump comes back, very good for the economy and the markets. What was scaring the markets was that if there was a blue wave, if the Democrats controlled all three, House, Senate, and presidency, there could be a move, a shift towards the progressive or the liberals, which
Right.
could mean higher taxes, more stimulus, more welfare schemes, and more estate duties, capital gains taxes going up. So people were afraid of that as far as the markets are concerned. Offsetting that would have been a higher stimulus. Now their hands will be tied. It is like Obama of 2012 to 2016, Govind, where he didn't have the Senate backing. So he could not do much. He had to move with what the Senate, so a minimal common program came up. So now Biden will also be bound by that of getting his proposals through Senate, and more than anything, the Republicans will return to their roots of being austerity economists, of trying to balance budgets, of being more pro-capitalism. That's what we are going to see. So the best outcome for the markets was Trump. Second outcome is this split mandate. And historically, Govind, a Democrat president with a Senate with a Republican Senate has tended to be the best performing for the US markets and by correlation for the Indian markets.
Okay, so that's something to watch very carefully on, at least for the next 24 to 48 hours. Choka, can I, if you look now at the funds that are coming in or the money that's flowing into the Indian markets, now, you talked about a recovery, and both Ajay also talked about a recovery. Now, the recovery is not yet brought things back to what they were pre-COVID. But the exuberance with which the money is coming into the market in some ways exceeds the actuals, so to speak, right? So if you said that, let's say before March, automobile sales were at this point, we are still to reach that point. But because we've seen such a big jump in the last couple of months, we are celebrating. So, but this celebration can also have a downside, or what do you think?
No, a very valid question you asked. I am not really celebrating. I am celebrating with a lot of caution and fear factor. As you rightly said, a lot of things have not come back to the pre-COVID level. You look at airline and hotel, even pre-COVID level, they were suffering a lot. But the market reward has been phenomenal. The leader in the hotel industry has come out with a huge loss in September and June, but the market has rewarded with a positive gain. Same thing in the airline. In fact, International Travel Association, Air Travel Association says they can come back to pre-COVID level worldwide only in 2023. So I completely agree. The fear is there. The rewards to the market is much more. We have recovered almost 57% from March 24th, but economic fundamentals have not improved proportionately. And also, the very interestingly, across the world, the concentration is happening in only 5% of the stocks listed, and they are driving up and giving a false opinion that things are too good, but I don't know how long this can last.
Right. And those that concentration of stocks is because those companies, including in India, are doing very well, which is the rise of the new monopolists, Ajay. So, it's obvious that consumer product companies have been doing very well. We can see result after result. They've done very well. Work from home has worked well for them. So obviously there will be money that will go into those companies. But what would you tell investors? I mean, how do you separate let's say, the exuberance for these stocks versus or controlling it from spreading into everything else, which usually happens in a bull market?
Yeah. So, building on what you just said, very interesting, Govind. It's a K-shaped recovery. So this time around, we have learned a new, fashion of the economy where a few concentrated plays have done very well and asset owners have done very well because asset prices have inflated. And the rest of the economy, 90% of the economy has gone down and is slowly inching back. Manufacturing is coming back. Railways passengers, for example, Govind, is at 2.5%. We are talking freight, GST, all that has recovered. But there are large sections, cinemas, hotels, retail, restaurants, which are not represented at all in the stock market or very small representation. So 30-40% of the economy has no representation in the stock market. So there's a difference between the economy and the stock market. And as you said, India will recover if March 2020 was 100, India will be at 100 in 2022, March 31st. So we would have had 2 lost years. I say goodbye to 5 trillion is not possible now. We would have lost 2 years of growth, and think of how many people have been pushed into poverty as a result. What is the way out? Huge monetary, huge fiscal stimulus. We have been very tight on fiscal because of lack of resources, and I would say also lack of imagination. This is the time, like you had World War II bonds, you should have been issuing COVID bonds. Use the pandemic as a resource with your rating agencies. All the world, a very careful government like Germany, Govind, has gone to 40% of GDP is the support they have pumped in, especially to SMEs, what we were discussing. So very interesting what has happened around the world. We have given credit support and credit enhancement rather than direct aid. Direct aid of 50-60,000 crores has come. That's very small in a GDP of our size. So, three things. One, the stock market is fooling you as far as if you think it as a barometer of the economy, it is not.
Right.
Second, the economy will take 2 years to recover. Choka also said that. Third, there will be a sectoral rotation. Right now, we are seeing banks come back after being minus 25 for the 9 months. They are coming back. IT, pharma, and the K-shape, the top of the K has done very well. That will come back. When the COVID recedes, Govind, these companies will really shatter down like anything, and that will lead to your next correction in the markets.
Right. Last question, Choka. So, if as you look ahead, what's the one thing you would advise investors? That remember that, I mean, coming into this, the question I was posing is the markets have gone up more than 1,000 points in barely 2 days. What should you be now careful of, and what should you be maybe seeing as an opportunity?
No, you need to wait till the complete certainty comes from the US election. We can't take it for granted, because now market believes whoever comes, it is positive. That may not be the reality, the post selection of the president. Still, according to me, still that remains as a big risk. And secondly, Mr. Bhaga also covered, the biggest risk is in 2021. Because if the economy is correcting 10% this year and next year it is going to recover only 5 to 7, 8% also, the absolute output in 21 calendar year will be less than what we saw in 2019. So that, according to me, that is the biggest risk. So be prepared for 10 to 15% fall in the market and go for least leverage, cash-rich companies, particularly the leaders, because only 5% of the stocks are outperforming. So if you go for 100% value stock, then you may be regretting for long. So go for leaders, but at the same time, the PE multiple is not, hugely overvalued as compared to its own PE in the last 2-3 years. So this is the approach I would suggest, but be cautiously optimistic and be mentally prepared for 10-15% correction in 2021.
Okay, Ajay, any last word of caution?
Yeah, markets are very frothy, and the bulls only want to see the good news. On the economy front, there is not good news. On the fiscal front, there is not good news. It will take the service economy is hurting. Agriculture is very small. In consumption, it is okay, but in terms of contribution into GDP, it's small. Even if it grows, it's not enough to offset the service fall. So markets are ahead of themselves. It's not a good news. I see the next decade being a value decade. It will move from growth, whether it moves in 2021 or 22, but there will be a sharp fall, Govind, and there will be a back to value kind of a thing because of the overstretched valuations in the top part of the K. The beneficiaries of the COVID economy are just too highly valued. It won't last. It never does.
Right. That's a very, very good note and a very useful note to end on. The beneficiaries of the COVID economy may not last in the stock market sense, and we've really seen some structural shifts, as both of you have pointed out. G. Chokkalingam and Ajay Bhaga, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.